Welcome to Truth and Justice with Vivian King. I have another interesting story planned for you tonight. I have with me one guest in the studio, Miss Theola Daniels. She's a recovering addict, an ex-felon, who now returns to the prisons and does empowerment and educational seminars to inspire people to when they get out of prison. She also works with St. John's United Methodist Church downtown with their Lazarus Project to try to give people encouragement and let them know that they can return from the dead. Sometimes people think of prison as a death sentence, but you will get out and you have to rise above your circumstance and try not to go back into the same situation that you just got out of. And she works very hard and tirelessly with that program, and she helps people, assist people and volunteers in them entering and exiting prison units. So we want to learn more about the criminal justice system. As you know, that's why I do this show. I want to educate you through people's stories. And she's had a lengthy time going in and out of the criminal justice system. She's made it through that process, but we're going to delve into why she ended up in that system in the first place. So she's from Egypt, Texas, but she's lived in Houston for many, many years. And without further ado, we're going to just start talking to Miss Theola Daniels, also known as Miss T. I'll be referring to her as Miss T. And remember to call in with your comments and questions on the number that's going to be on the screen. All right, Miss T, thank you for agreeing to be on my show at the last minute. Most of my guests I get at the last minute because people cancel on me, and it's a live show. So I appreciate you rearranging your afternoon to visit with the Houston audience.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's talk about the beginning. Let's talk about graduating from high school, and what did you do after that?
Upon graduating from high school, I had an academic scholarship to Prairie View A&M University.
What year was that?
That was in 1969. I attended Prairie View for 2.5 years, and then I became family-oriented.
Okay, you got pregnant?
Yes, and I had my son, Marlon, who has now been in the United States Air Force now 22 years. And my daughter, Monica, came about a year after that, who lives here in Houston, and of whom I do assist in a lot of ways because of her disability.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you went to school, you had one baby, but you were still determined.
Yes, ma'am.
So even though you had your beloved son, you still returned back to college?
I went back to college, and like I say, about a year later, Monica decided she wanted to come into this world. So after that, I just decided, hey, I need to be a mom. And that's when I moved to Houston, Texas.
Did you move with the baby's father?
No.
Okay.
We were never legally married. At that particular time, he was in the United States Army. Okay. So I just came to Houston on my own with the love and support from my mother. Got my own apartment, got a good job, working for Tennessee Gas and Pipeline. Some people call it Tenneco. And I was doing real good. I was doing real good.
So that would have taken us through the 70s, right?
That would have taken me through the 70s, you know, because I sort of like I started off in the file room and went from the file room to, went back to college. Well, I didn't go back to college. I went to a trade school. Okay. And that's when word processing came about.
Right. The first one I remember, which was probably, you're a little bit older than I am, was Wang.
Affiliated with Wang. Affiliated with that, but at that time, IBM had a software called Word. Okay. Okay, and this government program called CETA had came about, and they were helping low-income families, you know, further their education. And I kept hearing about computers. It's going to be the thing in the future. So,
you remember what year that was? So our viewers are kind of understand that?
So I was
like
saying,
72, 73?
No, it was like about 76, 77, okay. Somewhere in that.
Because I went to college in
vicinity.
77, and I'm always reminding people that there were no computers then. When we went to college in 76, we went with typewriters, and when we had to do papers, we had to use old-fashioned carbon copy paper to make duplicate copies. So around 76, you're working at Tenneco.
Yeah.
Tennessee
Gas and Pipeline.
Okay.
Okay. And so I decided, because of my income, they said I qualified. So I was staying in a government subsidized apartment at that time, only paying like $25 a month rent, and which was good back then, which I could still pay it today. But they said I qualified, so it was supposed to be like a 6-month course. Okay, 6 month, go through, get your certificate, and they said also they could assist with finding you a job upon completing the course. But of course, I've always been sort of smart in school, so I went in and excelled, and I came out in 3 months.
Instead of 6. Wonderful.
Instead of 6. And that's when one of my instructors, she had a connection with a company called Fluor Engineers. And she said, I'm going to take you over there. You're ready. And you're going to pass this test. And I was like, okay, if you say so. So sure enough, she took me to Fluor Engineers. And I passed the test and got hired.
Wow.
And from there, I became what they now call computer savvy in a way. And from there, I had various jobs. My last job, of course, what we're speaking of today, by me being a recovering addict, that led to my becoming addicted to crack cocaine.
And you were an unusual case in that you told me off air that you became addicted to crack cocaine at the age of 40 in 1992. That's so unusual for stories of today. So tell us, what led to your addiction to crack cocaine in at 40 years old in 1992?
I was working for this company.
Your kids are grown now, right?
Yeah, they are grown.
You got grown
kids?
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. Right. They are grown and doing very well. I'm proud of both of my kids.
But even in 92, today. They were grown.
Yes. Well, not say grown, but they were teenagers.
Right.
You know,
they were born in the early 70s,
anymore. Right? One was born in 1972, one was born in 1973.
Okay, so the one born in 72 was 20.
Was 20.
In 1992, okay.
Yeah, and he had just recently joined the Air Force.
Okay.
Baby girl, she had already been held back 1 year. So she was like trying to complete high school.
Okay.
Okay.
But pretty functional.
Pretty functional.
Okay, tell us what led to your addiction to crack cocaine.
Got laid off a job that I had been on for about 7 years.
And you were a really important part of a team.
I sure was. I was administrative assistant for 9 salesmen.
And what company was that?
Vista Chemical Company, which was a subsidiary of Conoco. And
you did everything for those 7 people.
I did everything.
They relied on you heavily.
Everything. These salesmen, most of the time, they were traveling. They would call in, Ms. T, I need such and such done. I need to get a memo out. I need to get a letter out. Blah, blah this. They'd give me a few words and tell me who to address it to, and I had to get that letter done. All they did when they came in was sign it and send it out.
Because they knew it would be perfect.
They knew it was going to be right. So, but I started having some medical issues, which led to me going to have a special procedure.
And bed rest.
And bed rest. And once the head doctor decided that I needed this operation, he sent me in for some testing, and all of my blood work and all this was out of whack, wasn't nothing right. so they did not want to put me under. So he decided that I just needed complete bed rest. I was not supposed to do anything but get up, take my children to school every morning, come back home, get back in the bed. That's all I was supposed to do. And I was like, okay. But as I was telling you earlier, I had a girlfriend that lived in an apartment complex. She would prepare the meals for me and my children, you know, helping me out. And to that, I was very grateful. But on the third day, after sitting at home, just got returned back home from dropping my children off at school, a knock comes on the door. I asked, who is it? And he said he was a special courier. He had a special delivery letter for me from Vista Chemical Company. So I got up, opened the door, signed for the letter, and sat back down. And when I opened the letter, I was truly hurt. I was hurt due to the fact that my supervisor had taken me back and forth to the doctor on several occasions, to the emergency room, because sometimes I would be in so much pain. And he knew my situation. And for them to lay me off at a time when I really needed my medical insurance and really needed some assistance really got to me, okay? And I had 2 children to support.
So it broke your heart.
So it really broke my heart. But by me not having any kind of medical assistance, I had to find a job. And I went out there looking for a job, nothing came available. I was dating a young man at that time, and I would be at his house sometime, and people would knock on his door certain times of the night. He would always tell me to stay in the bedroom or the living room. You know, he would go to the back door, handle the situation. So I asked him what was going on. All he would tell me was, you don't need to get involved in that. I said, okay. But curiosity.
Killed a cat. You were nosy.
Yeah, nosy. I snuck around the corner one night and watched him prepare what he was doing. And afterwards, I asked him, was there any money to be made? And he told me, yes, it was. So I asked him how. And he explained that situation to me. So I went in my little savings, got the money that I needed, and started off buying an ounce of cocaine.
And how much did an ounce of cocaine
cost
back then?
At that time, it was something like about $300, $325, okay? And I went from there, which eventually led to me becoming my own best customer, which eventually led to my incarceration.
Okay. All right, so let's go through. I pulled your criminal record, so I see that the first time you got arrested for possession of a controlled substance, crack cocaine, less than 28 grams, was December 12th, 1991.
Correct.
So you're 40 years old.
Mm-hmm.
40 years old, exactly. You just turned 40, actually.
Yep.
And tell me about that. Do you remember the first time you got arrested for crack cocaine?
Yeah, I remember. I remember quite well. I remember quite well riding in a car with some more people, going to score, and... So
you're not selling now, you're scoring, you're buying.
I'm scoring.
You're an addict now.
Well, I'll put it this way. I was both. In order to keep my habit going, and in order for me to not go out there and, per se, sell my body to get drugs, I would, you know, make enough money that I would be able to purchase and deal, and then also satisfy my own habit.
Wow. Okay, so you get arrested. So I guess somebody gets stopped on a traffic stop?
Now, we were leaving, going back to our vapor hung out and a tail light was out and got pulled over. And it was about 6 of us in the car. And
are you driving or passenger?
No, I was a passenger. And everybody had something on them. So that was my first time.
And then you got out on bond.
Got out on bond.
And then 9 months later, you pick up another crack cocaine case. So this time, you can't get another bond because you're already out on bond.
That's correct.
So you have to sit in jail and try to decide what to do.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's when you signed for, pled guilty to a judge and accepted 3 years TDC for both cases.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was in November of 1992.
That's correct.
Now, the jails were pretty crowded back then, and for that amount of crack cocaine, even under an ounce, you could get 25 to life if you built up to your third time. Now, under a gram is a state jail felony. The law changed in September of 1994, but we're dealing with your situation, which is 1992. You get 3 years TDC for something now you can't get TDC time for.
Right.
Not at this level. So then, quickly thereafter, April of 1994, you get another drug case, 2 other drug cases for delivery, for selling, and for possessing.
That's correct.
Is that right? All
That's
right.
correct.
And on that one, you signed for, you plead guilty and you get 8 years TDC.
I got 8 years. The delivery charge was dismissed because I fought those 2 cases. And
do you remember what basis you fought them on?
They said a delivery charge. And I was not selling anything. Okay.
So you got the DAs to dismiss that one?
Yeah, I got
because
the
you weren't
DAs,
delivering it.
Right. And they just left me with the possession. And I tried to beat that too, but I couldn't.
You couldn't beat
I couldn't beat the possession. And
so now you have, by 1994, you have 2 prison trips. So under Texas law, your 3rd prison trip is 25 to life, the way the law stood at that time that she was under. So then, I mean, you go a long time before you get another prison trip. Now, why is that? Did you stay in prison longer this time?
The 8 years, I stayed there for 3 years.
Okay. So you got out in 1997.
I was supposed to, by TDCJ law at that time, I was actually supposed to do 10 months. That's why I accepted the 8 years, okay? But when I came up for parole after those 10 months, they granted me my parole. But the parole board also gave me a specified release date, okay? Even though I was granted parole after the 10 months, I could not get out until a year and a half later.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. Which meant that if I stayed out of trouble the whole time I was in TDCJ, when that date came up that they specified, I could walk out of TDCJ, and that's what I did.
And one of the things we've discussed numerous times on the show is that the governor and somebody in Austin sets the parole parameters. That part is the executory branch of government, the 3rd branch of government. The legislature creates the laws. The judicial branch, which is where most people are caught up, this part, like if you have a pending case, is supposed to be following the law created by the legislature and the United States Constitution. And then the executory branch is TDC, or the Sheriff's Department, that actually executes the sentence. They're the separation of powers. And so they can do that without questioning. One of the more difficult parts of being a criminal defense lawyer is that when you're in the judiciary branch, like say, for example, if I was Ms. T's lawyer, and she says, if I sign for 8 years, Ms. King, how much time am I going to really have to do on that? Well, I can't really tell her. And that's really hard because TDC they're the executory branch of government. They don't answer to us. And if you went to school, you remember hearing about the separation of powers doctrine. Well, that's a separate power. It's the 3rd grant. So you don't know. And as things change, you can stay longer. Because the first time she went and got 3 years, she probably only stayed a few months. But the thing that happened in '94 is that they created the state jail system. We had 3 forms of felonies at the time. But then it became a 4th felony. They didn't call it a 4th degree felony. They called it a state jail felony, which was to take away those nonviolent cases, because all of these little crack pipe cases or crack cases were flooding the TDC system with 20 people doing 25 to life. So you could have a little gram of crack cocaine and be doing 25 years because it's the third time you've been caught with it. And so they downgraded a lot of these categories. So what she went to prison for, possession of a controlled substance under 28 grams, doesn't even exist anymore.
No.
The law, the legislature changed the law.
Yeah.
Then they created smaller denominations or weights of cocaine. So most people get arrested now for what she got arrested for, and it's called possession of a controlled substance under a gram.
Yes.
And for viewers who don't understand what a gram is a sweet and low pack. So a lot of times people have either the paraphernalia in which they smoke it in, like the little crack, might have a little residue in it, because people really are not holding on to that. I mean, they're holding on to the crack pipe, so if they get another crack rock, they can put it in there. But generally, it's just trash. And so they're going to jail now for to the state jail facility, which is a totally separate facility that is from 6 months to 2 years straight time, and it's not a parole system. Yes. But she got caught up on her second case in '94, right when they created the state jail facilities, which took a lot of the pressure off of the TDC facilities, and they had more space then. Because all these people they were sending to TDC for under a gram, now they're sending to these separate state jail facilities. So now the executory branch, TDC, has a lot more beds available to put people in. So now they can stay in jail longer, because the intent when you get 8 years is to stay 8 years. But they weren't staying that long because it was a rotating bed. You know, more people were going in than they had beds for. So when she got this second case in '94, there were beds available. So although in 10 months she got her parole release, they released her a year and a half later because, wow, we have a lot of room now and we have to fill these beds up because people are going to the state jail facility. So that's what you got caught up in, right?
Okay. I believe that's exactly what I got caught up in. You know,
if you look at people that went to prison from like '94 to almost to 2000, they did a lot more time than prior to '94 because there was a lot of room.
That's correct.
Because they had built all these new prisons all over.
All these new facilities.
All these new facilities.
Especially all over Gatesville and all over Huntsville.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Dayton.
Everywhere. Tennessee Colony.
Tennessee Colony.
I was like, what is Tennessee Colony?
Even state jail down, one of the jails downtown is state jail.
That's right, Keegan.
Right, and then at Atascocita. Lynchner. I mean, they built all of those, and so that relieved Huntsville.
Yes, ma'am.
And made a lot of space. And
That's
so
correct.
if you were telling your client, well, they've been going to prison on 8 years, they're doing 10 months, well, by the time they built those new facilities, it was 3 years they were doing because they had more space to do the time. So
and then when I was during that 8 year, I was at a facility way almost to New Mexico.
Oh my God!
We're almost to Mexico, and I almost thought the name of it, but I know it started. That's where they sent me.
Mejia?
No, it started with a C.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't know the name. I never go to the prison, so I don't know the name. It's not Corsicana, is it?
No. It was on the other side of Dallas. It took like about 6 hours to get there.
Oh my God!
Yeah, but I stayed there, and it was built on the state jail type of facility, but it was actually TDCJ.
Right, so they were actually letting people stay there.
Right.
So in 1994, when you got 8 years, you stayed 3, but even though you got out on parole in 3 years, you still had 5 years to be on parole.
I had 5 years.
Until 2002 would be your date.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
Unfortunately, March 19th of 2002, you pick up 2 new cases for delivery under a gram. Now you get in the state jails.
That's correct.
And because now the legislature has changed the law.
Yes.
So what you would have gotten under 28 grams and been like a second-degree felony. Now it's a state jail felony, which is that new 4th-degree felony.
Right.
And if you had been in trouble before, you'd be facing 6 months to 2 years. But because you'd had 2 priors, there's still an enhancement system with state jails if you've had 2 prison trips. It does right now. Now, they've changed that incrementally year after year, but it's now a second-degree felony if they enhance you with those 2.
Yes, ma'am.
2 to 20. So now you have, or they were at one point even trying to enhance you to 25 to life.
They tried to give me 25 to life.
So on that last 2002, 25 to life. So let's talk about that. let's talk about how that March of 2002 case came about, because that's the one you were not guilty of.
That's the one I was definitely not guilty of. March 2002, I was leaving my apartment complex on my way to see my parole officer. And as I pulled out of my apartment complex, there was a young man standing at the bus stop that I used to know. I had not seen in
Do you mind, this is a good story and it's a little lengthy. I see we have a phone call. Do you mind, Ms. T, if I take a call?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, kind of break it up a little bit. Okay. Caller, thank you for calling Truth and Justice with Vivian King. You're on.
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to, I've been looking for work for right at over a year and a half, almost really 3 years. I've been doing like part-time work fixing wash machine, commercial wash machine and dryer. But when I go in and try to do an application, I done put in a lot of applications. I even go online to do application. But when they ask you on the application, have you ever committed a misdemeanor or a felony, they tell you that don't stop you from getting a job, but it do. And it don't make no difference how old it been.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out how can I get it back into the job system. I used to drive tractor trailer for a couple of different companies.
You know, that's the $50,000 million question. I can't answer that. I work for myself, and I don't work for a company. So for me to give company-type advice would be
it's hard for me. I have a felony over right at.
Well, there's no time limit, and like you said, it's basically who you know. One of the things that the reason why I work with ex-cons is to try to encourage employers to hire them. Most people, you have to know somebody that is going to take a chance and trust you.
It's such a problem when you fill an application. I have a school application just to do the ground maintenance, cut the yard. And on the back of the application, it asks me all about my criminal background.
Sir, I would love to help you with that, but I can't. So I'm sorry, and I feel for you, and God bless you. Do you have a comment about the story that we're talking about tonight?
I have a comment about what the lady's saying about the crack and stuff like that. To me, the system is the people that writing the laws. This is from what I see, and I see it every day from the system, even from the courts all the way up to the high courts with this health care law. What this lady talking about with this crack, the system is set up, is corrupted from the start. The people that write these laws, they know exactly the minority people that are out here struggling and suffering and going through a lot of stress, that making a couple of dollars an hour or $70 an hour, you can't buy almost a job honey when you're working for $70 an hour, when the cost of living is going up. The system is set up to, like, against poor people. It don't make no difference what color you is, poor, you can be any kind of color. But the system is set up for when you got people that not catching the kids growing up through, coming up through school, and the teachers not teaching the kids good skills. They used to have vocational training school years ago.
Right.
I'm 55, right at 55 years old. Years ago, you had all kind of training courses that you can go through. You can train for electrician, you can train for plumbing, you can train for woodwork, you can train for carpentry. You know, you had all kind of situation where you set up, you can go to program and you can get a vocational skill like mechanic, electrician, different things. But the system is set up for people that's writing the laws. They know there's nowhere you can go in school nowadays. Starting as a youngster, like you see a lot of kids growing up and they be having difficult problems.
Let me stop you there. I understand what you're saying, and let me just give you this comment.
Okay.
I'm 53. And Ms. T might not want to tell her age.
Oh, I'm 60.
She's
proud
60,
of mine.
and she's working to empower people like her. I am a lawyer, a poor lawyer, because I work for poor people who don't want to pay me. But listen to me, sir. Listen to me. Let me tell you this. Everybody in this society, what I find these days is it's all about me. You're calling me, me, me. Sometimes you have to give to other people to get your blessings. No. Let me finish. Sir. Let me just try to. I'm trying to make a suggestion to you, so you can.
Okay,
I understand your rant, and I understand where you are. I deal with people like you every day that want a job. What I'm trying to tell you is that maybe Ms. T works with St. John's downtown, giving of her time and talent. Maybe you should volunteer to go work with the Bread of Life ministry at St. John's or some church, because they do have jobs that they have people that help you find jobs. I'm just saying, maybe you should go feed the homeless, volunteer to feed. I go to that church because my money can go to feed the homeless, and I volunteered at the Bread of Life where they feed. But there's a minister there that helps people find jobs. And so what I'm telling you is that you have to know someone to do it. So maybe you can give of your talents, and you can start voting and getting other people to vote to deal with the people who make the laws so that you can leave a legacy of change so that people don't have to go through what you're going through. I'm trying to have this show to educate.
Helping people, I try my best. And volunteering, I wouldn't mind volunteering to help feed anyone.
But it's also a part of that is
don't bother me,
but what I'm trying to tell you, sir, is that there's a whole program there that can help you try to find a job, and you're going to have to get involved with something like that and get involved with, instead of just us complaining about the system, is actually dealing with your legislator, making sure you're registered to vote and you register thousands to vote, and tell them, because you could be the legislature writing the law, but you got to get involved to do that. And so what I'm saying is that I hope my legacy is that you understand that I do care. I'm trying to educate people about the system, because as more people watch and as more people are aware, we can do something about it. This is our community. It doesn't have to be this way. It's this way because we just sit back and complain. And I'm not saying that about you. I'm saying that about everybody. I did too. That's why I'm sitting here now trying to get, pay for a show, get people to come in.
To me, to help the people, the churches get together, people that with the wisdom, like you have wisdom. Okay,
well, you have wisdom too. You're older than I am, and we all have wisdom. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So you have to work with the group.
Where the churches come out to the neighborhoods.
Sir, they do that, but you got to be in the neighborhood when they're there. I mean, Houston has 4 million people, so if St. John's goes to one neighborhood and you're not there, you're thinking they're not there. So I'm just saying you can be.
Churches, if all of the churches got together.
But you need to do it. You need to get them together.
To try to help people.
You need to get them together.
Sitting back and reading something from a book and telling these people this. Churches have to do action. You take action. Just like you telling me I need to get to doing things.
Well, I'm just saying we all do. I'm not just saying you. I'm just saying we all do. But we're going to continue our broadcast, and thank you for calling. So anyway, let's go into your good 2002 story. Let's get in there.
Okay, in 2002, March, I had been on parole for 5 years. I had 2 months from walking, as they say back in the day, that 8-year sentence. I would have been free and clear. No parole, no nothing, okay? But as I was stating earlier, I was leaving my apartment complex and seeing a young man that I knew back in the day. He was dressed neat, clean, and he hollered. I hollered at him, and he asked me where I was going. So I told him, I said, well, I'm going over to 3rd Ward to see my parole officer. Time for me to report. He said, well, Miss T, I'm going that way. Would you mind giving me a ride? I said, okay, no problem. But I had to stop and get some gas in my car and also purchase a money order for my restitution dues to the parole officer. So while I was in the store getting the money order and paying for the gas, he got out of my car to pump the gas, but in the meantime, an undercover cop runs up to him. Are you holding? And of course, he sells to the undercover cop. I did not know this was going on because I'm inside the store. So when I come back out, he said, you ready? You didn't pump the gas? I said, yeah. So we get in the car. I go to drive off. Shoot. My car is surrounded by police officers, okay? And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? He said, don't worry about it. I got to see. I know what's going on. You ain't got nothing to do with this here. And I was like, okay. So I started, I chilled out. But they come and jerked my car door open and pulled him out the car, tell me to get out the car and blah, blah, this. And I was like, sir, what are you talking about? Oh, you know what you did. You know what you did. Let me give, I had to give him my ID, my driver's license and all that stuff. And he started trying to tell them, she has nothing to do with this here. This is all on me. The only thing she was doing was giving me a ride. But, of course, when the police officers ran a check on me, saw that I already had 2 prior possession charges, that's all they wrote, okay? So they arrest me, take me down, book me again for possession of a controlled substance. They did not find anything on me, They didn't find nothing on me. They did not find anything in my car. But by him getting out of my car and selling to that undercover and getting back in my car, to me, it was guilt by association. I was truly upset.
And then you get to court and they want to...
Then I get to court and they want to offer me 25 to life. 25 to life. And
how did that make you feel, knowing this time this is not yours?
I said, no way. No way. Not this time. Not this time. I'm going to do whatever I have to do. I'm going to fight it till the end. I don't care. But by God's good grace and the loving support of my family, my son and my two sisters got together and got me an attorney. And my son, he's the type, he likes to do investigative work. That's what I call it. So before he puts his money up, he goes and talks to my parole officer. And my parole officer tells him, hey, Ms. Daniels has been doing good. One of my parole models, parolee models, she makes me give her a test when she comes in, you know what I'm saying? And, but he told my son one thing, and I don't want to say it on camera, but...
Why not?
Well, told my son, tell her don't take any time right now. And I didn't. I listened to what he had told my son. I know why he was saying that. I did not take time until I came off paper, which was in May of 2002.
So you had a good parole officer.
I had a very good parole officer.
That made sure that you weren't revoked
right
prior to your time, because you got arrested in March of 2002.
Correct.
And it was going to be
2 months.
You had 2 months. Well, it actually says August. I think August of 2002 would have been when your 8 years was up. No, not August. I'm sorry, April. No, it was April. Yeah.
But
April
he told me not to take any time until that May.
Okay. So you waited until that was up.
So I waited.
And he could have blue warranted you.
That's correct.
Before, but he didn't.
He did not.
Because he was proud of the 5 years that you had done.
That's correct.
But then yet you still in the court system have to fight this case where they're offering you now 25 to life. So certainly you don't want to take it. You want to go to trial because to be guilty of possession and for delivery, you have to have knowledge. You have to knowingly possess it, and you have to knowingly participate in somebody delivering it. And if she gave him a ride, she didn't know, so she should have gone to trial on it. But they came back, I guess, with a plea bargain offer that you couldn't refuse.
Yes, the young man that I had given a ride to also, he did a sworn affidavit stating the fact that I did not have anything to do with what he had done. It didn't matter to the court system because, he's a criminal.
And she's a criminal.
And she's a criminal. So we're not taking his word for it.
And a lot of times my clients want to give me affidavits, and one of the things you need to know, an affidavit, there's a police report that the police wrote up of what their perception of what happened is. They know what the man did. They know they sold to him or bought from him. But their perception is that if she gave him a ride and they together, she must be a part of being a drug dealer too, so she must have knowledge. They don't know what happened, and they're not listening to him. They figure, that's his woman, and he's just trying to get her off. That's why he's saying it's not his. But what we need to do is we can give affidavits from the defense side, but what we need to understand is that's just like a police report. That's like our report of what's going to happen. If you get charged with a crime, you have a right to plead guilty and take some time, or plead not guilty and have a trial. I mean, that's the two choices you have. The district attorney and the prosecutor can't substitute their judgment for the police officers. They represent the police. So if the police said you did it, they're supposed to go to trial, win or lose. The affidavit, they can give that to the police officer and say, look, this is what they think happened. Maybe if the officer goes along with it, they can dismiss it. But generally, if you give an affidavit, you got to be willing to testify to that. And I'm sure this man was willing to do that.
He was willing.
Because he knew that he had gotten her in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he was willing.
by her just giving him a ride off the corner. How did he know that was going to turn out that way?
He was willing.
And so, but yet it's a big risk. If a jury of 12 didn't believe it, she could have been facing 25 to life. So after your lawyer told you that they'll give you 10 months, what made you decide to go ahead and take that?
My family.
They were just worried, like 10 months you'll be done?
Yeah. You've already been in here, you know, going on 3 months now. Go ahead on, take the little 7 months. You done did time before. Get it over with. You won't be on paper anymore. It's done deal.
You won't be on parole anymore.
You won't be on no parole
Because it was under
anymore.
the state jail system now, and the state jail system, remember, is a no parole system at specific time.
Yeah.
And one thing I want viewers to know, too, is if you're not on paper, you can vote. And hopefully you're registered to vote.
Oh, I vote consistently.
Okay. Let's take a call. Caller, you're on, and I hope that you talk about the topic tonight. Turn your volume down. We're getting I can hear myself on your TV.
Yes, I'm turning my volume down right now. I was just calling to mention that I hear what the lady is talking about, and I hear what you're speaking about. And I just want to mention that the system is not fair. I'm an ex-con. I served 27 years in the Louisiana State Prison system. I've been out like 6 years, but what I'm saying is when I was arrested, the district attorney had offered to give me 5 years if I agreed to pay $30,000 restitution back to my victim. So what I'm saying is, so she didn't give me the 5 years. She didn't give me she didn't give me the 5 years. So thereafter, I ended up serving 16 years. So what I'm trying to say is that the system is unfair. If you can let me go, release me for 5 years, you know, if I pay $30,000 back.
Who are you going to pay that to, the state of Louisiana?
Yes, to the district attorney's office. They wanted me to.
I mean, did you destroy something that cost
$30,000 restitution?
Hold on. What was the restitution for? Did you destroy something or what?
No, I took some currency, and they wanted me to pay most of it back.
So really, you're not paying it to the DA. You're paying it to the DA, but they're going to pass it on to the person you stole it from.
Right. They're going to pass it on to the person I stole it from, which was a multimillionaire, and the money that I took was like a nickel dropped in the bucket.
I know, but let's talk about this. You know, we always have to look at both sides of the thing. You know, no matter how much money we have, we want it. You know what I mean? I mean, we do want it. And do you believe in the principles of God?
Yes, I believe in the principles of God, but what I'm saying is...
So, I mean, the only thing that's kind of making me hesitate is it seems like you're thinking, since they had more money than they needed, you didn't really need to pay them back. That's what it made it sound like. Do you mean that? Do you really think that?
No, I don't mean that. What I'm trying to say is that because I couldn't pay the restitution back, they made me serve 20 years instead. So if you can see me free for $30,000 restitution, then you should be able to still see me serve 5 years. You know, why make me serve 20 years, you know?
Yeah, that's a long time. How are you doing?
Because I can't give it back.
Yes, sir. I understand. Usually when you get it fast like that, you're going to spend it. You're not going to sit around and hold on to it to pay it back. So I do understand that. The system is crazy. I mean, that's what legislators do. They determine for this amount of money, you can face, you know, 5 to 99 or, you know, 2 to 20. I mean, that's what our legislators do. And that's what troubles me about us is that we don't understand the law. And hopefully someone who hasn't stolen the money is watching the show. We can talk about it, or their family members can talk about it, so that we think about the consequences before we do something that you could serve that much time if caught. Ms. T, will you have any comments you want to tell our caller?
Sir, all I want to say to you is this, okay? Never give up hope.
Okay.
Never give up hope.
Okay, I won't.
At one time, I did. And that was when I first got arrested that 3rd time, when I gave that young man that ride. But, you know, God has a purpose for doing things, okay?
Amen.
So, how are you today?
Well, I'm fine. Hello?
We're listening.
We're listening.
Yes, I'm fine. I'm also a recovering addict after serving my 27 years. Last 2 years I ended up doing the same drug you doing, and being released from prison, I got out. I went work offshore. I worked at all the fancy hotels. I was a chef here and a chef there. My last 7 years in Louisiana State Prison, they actually had me working for 2 different governors. My last 7 years, I worked for them.
Okay, how are you doing now, though, sir? We want to know now.
Ma'am?
How are you doing now, sweetheart?
I'm a recovering addict.
I know, but are you able to work? Are you able to contribute to your family?
I'm off and on. I've served so much time, 27 years incarcerated. It's difficult for me to maintain a job. I've had 20 jobs in the last year. I go on to jobs. It's difficult for me to quote on these jobs.
Why is that?
Excellent worker. I know everything. I can open and close.
Did you hear what Ms. T asked your question? Why is it difficult?
Because of the time I was incarcerated, and it led me to be like in solitary, and now I'm a drug addict, and I have never touched a drug in my life until after I served time, 27 years, 7 years in juvenile home, and then 20 years as an adult, and then I got out. It's difficult for me to cope. I don't have a kid. I didn't have a family, and now I'm dealing with all this, and it's difficult for me to cope with society.
Sir.
Hold on. Stop talking and let Ms. T say something.
Sir, are you using at this particular time?
No, ma'am, I'm not using it this particular time. I'm fighting one day at a time. However...
How long have you been fighting it one day at a time? You've been clean now?
I've been clean, be honest, a week.
1 week? Okay, sir, do you feel like you need assistance in staying clean and sober?
Well, I'm currently getting assistance, but the assistance that I have attempted to receive is deficient. It's not a system that works for me.
Well, we're gonna hang up the phone because we have 10 more minutes, and she's gonna make a comment to you, and then we're gonna make our closing comments. Thanks for calling. Try to stay strong. Try to keep fighting this addiction and be productive to your family. If you can't think about yourself, when your triggers that make you want to go down and out, just think about the people who love you, who are supporting you, and just try to stay strong. God bless you. So, Ms. T, we got 10 minutes, and I want you to wrap it up and try to give advice to everybody, like you empower people, and hopefully it'll be a message that resonates with this young man also.
Okay. Today, ladies and gentlemen, those of you that are listening,
look right here.
I do a lot. We have a prison ministry at St. John called The Path to Freedom, of which I have been a member since about 3 months into its existence. Today, I go back inside the prisons, and I give empowerment speeches, empowerment seminars. I try my best to encourage those that are still incarcerated, once they get out, to find a good church home, first of all, okay? Find a support group, of which we have one at St. John called the Lazarus Project. You know, when Lazarus died, Jesus went to Lazarus and raised Lazarus from the dead. You too can be raised from returning to those prisons every time you turn around. I'm a prime example. I have been out of prison now, going on 10 years. I am very grateful today. But it's all because I decided to turn what my past had done for me, which was nothing, led me to do nothing, into doing something that is positive today. You have to make up your mind that you're the one that is in control of your life today. Do not let your past mistakes, your past errors, your past bad judgments, your past bad choices cause you to keep going in and out of those prison walls. Do not let those past judgments or choices again keep you going back out there to take a hit from that substance abuse called crack cocaine, heroin, whatever it may be. There's help out there for you. All you have to do is take the initiative to go out there and seek that help. Most of all, you got to want to help yourself. Today, I choose to help myself and anyone I can come in contact with that needs assistance in staying clean and sober and prison free.
Amen. Let's take one more call. We have about 8 minutes. Caller, please turn your volume down so we can hear you, and please comment about the program tonight.
First of all, Ms. King, I just want to thank you again for your persistence in bringing forward education to the masses of Houstonians that so desperately need it. And to Ms. Daniels, I want to thank you, Ms. Daniels, for sharing your testimony. The Word of God says that we're strengthened by our testimonies. And truly, when God has done something as miraculous and as powerful as He's done in your life, you have become a testimony to the goodness and the mercies of our Lord and Savior Jesus. And so I thank you for what you've done. I just wanted to comment on the parole system. There are good parolee officers, and there as well as probation officers, and I think that is something in the criminal justice system that should be looked at. I know for a fact about 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, it was under investigation simply because of the fact that there's a how can I put it? There was a favoritism that was being given to certain people who have committed certain crimes, and leniency, and then there was a more crueler or harsher task being levied upon African Americans as well as Hispanics. And so this was being looked at by the Department of Justice as well as Austin. And so I'm just grateful to God that there are men and women in the system, because I know how laborious it can be. I mean, they don't get paid much, and they're required to see so many individuals with so many different attitudes and feelings about why they're caught up in the system. And being caught up in the system doesn't mean that you have to continue to be caught up in the system. But Ms. Daniel, I thank you, because the message that you just sent across television is that you can choose to make a difference.
Yes.
And when you choose to make a difference, that means that you make a U-turn. And that's what I like about our God. That's what I like about Ms. King and what she's bringing forth. The modality for us to be able to talk about the U-turn that we're making in our life so that we can benefit others, that they don't have to go down the same path and they don't have to be victimized by the same thing. So I thank you, because I know that God is going to do great things in your life, and you will continue to be a testimony. And Ms. King, I thank you because of the fact that I know that He has great things in store for you.
Oh,
okay, thank you so very
sweet.
much for what you all are doing. And Ms. Daniel, God bless you. Ms. King, and likewise.
Thank you.
God bless you, too. And thank you for your supportive call. It's a great way to end the show. We have 3 minutes. I'm going to let you, if you have anything else to say, and I'll just do that last wrap-up. But if you have any other ideas that have come before you, what would you say to young people who are out there thinking the only way to make money is to sell drugs?
To the young men and women out there, quick money is not the way to go. That's all I'm going to say.
Build your skills.
It will only lead you to destruction. It will only lead you behind the walls of the penitentiary.
And again, how did you, just to kind of add to that, how did you face your kids knowing that you'd gotten on crack? I mean, how did you face them?
At one point, my son knew it.
You tried to hide it from them?
Yes, I did. So, to keep them from seeing me like that, I made sure that they were with good people, someone that I knew would take care of them. And I would like to say this publicly today. Thank you to my nephew Mike for taking care of my son. Thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Kuntz Wallace for taking care of my daughter. And most of all, thank you to my sister Jewel and my deceased sister Carrie for never turning your back upon me. I am very grateful to all of you today. And I want to thank my son and my daughter, Marlon and Monica, for allowing their mother another chance in their lives.
Well,
thank you, Lord.
God bless you, Ms. T. That is a great testimony, and I hope that the viewers who have watched the show tonight have received something good from it, to know that you can make a mistake, you can go to prison and serve your time, and you can still come out and be a productive person in people's lives. What do we have but our own legacies if we can't leave something for someone? I've made a lot of mistakes too. It's not been in the drug arena, maybe in other arenas, but I am trying to leave something good, some education for people. So spread the word, watch the show, get more involved in the community, help your friends. Those of you who feel down and out, one of the things when I get depressed, I try to do something for someone else. And I said that to one of the callers, not to be sarcastic or to act like I didn't care. One of the things I want on my tombstone is, she cared, because I do care. But I can't help everybody. I can't help you find a job because I'm not an employer. I can try to help the right thing happen in the criminal justice system because that's my job. I can run for judge and try to be a better person and make sure that the judiciary is run fairly. I can encourage employers to hire ex-cons and programs. But it's hard out there, the people who've done everything right to get a job.
That's
and I hear that a lot when I go to employers and they say, well, you know, there's so many people to choose from. So you do have to have some connections. You do have to volunteer your time and do something for someone else, and God will bless you. If you bless someone, you will be blessed in return.
Amen.
You will get back much more than you ever put into it.
Amen.
And it's always happened to me. Sometimes I don't know how I'm going to make it as a single mother, without parents, without guidance I didn't have forever. But you do something for someone else and something good happens to you,
yes,
to all of us. So that's the way we're going to end this tonight. Thank you very much for watching. And if there's parole questions, we have a parole expert lawyer coming on August the 8th from 6:30 to 7:30. So remember to ask your questions that night. Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. And we're going to have Ms. T on again with one of our next time we have a show. Thank you. Bye-bye.